This is why you need to watch out for the shy ones. I'm European, and when I was 16, I attended a Catholic high school in the States. All of it was new to me, and I felt like I was in a teen movie sometimes. Another new thing to me was having to change classes every hour. Where I'm from, you sit 5 hours at the same desk with the same people nearby, and just the professors alternate every hour. I sat next to this guy named Mark in my English class. He was nice and friendly despite being introverted. It amazed me that whenever I talked to him, he never looked me in the eye. He would always look around or at the ground, often moving his eyes quickly. I assumed it was a way to combat his shyness. One morning, I sit next to Mark as usual and start talking. I asked him if I could copy his homework as I didn't finish the last part of mine, and he kindly accepted. The next day, I noticed that Mark is absent. A few days go by and rumors start circulating in the hallways that poor Mark, on his way home, found his mother dead. 2 weeks pass and the rumors start getting out of hand. Things like how his mother's head was in the oven or that she was robbed. Then one day, Mark came back to school and he seemed extremely sad. I put my arm around him in class and told him I'm sorry. This is when, for the first time ever, he looked me straight in the eye and thanked me. However, something about this was off. Part 2 of why you should watch out for the shy ones. When Mark looked me in the eyes, something was different. There was a darkness in his eyes that gave me the goosebumps. He was deeply sad, but it wasn't sadness. It was almost like despair. I thought to myself that he's just grieving, and if I were in his situation, I don't think I'd ever recover, so I respectfully left it at that. The next day, Mark was absent again. This is when a man starts hanging around the cafeteria during lunchtime. When I ask who he is, they tell me it's the counselor's husband. The rumors around the school kept getting worse, and they were making me angry. Another week goes by, and the atmosphere at the school literally turned to ice. The principal called all seniors to the gym for an announcement. This is when I see that same man that's been hanging around, and he tells us the shocking news. Mark killed his mother by choking her. I felt the blood in my veins freeze. This man continues to tell us that he's actually a detective and was conducting investigations at the school. Apparently one morning, Mark had asked his mother for the car keys. She refused to give them to him because she needed them. That's when he jumped on her and strangled her. Then he came to school, sat next to me, and gave me his English homework as if that was the main problem of the day. He then went home and called the police later that day. Every now and then I think about Mark's empty eyes staring back at me.
What are you willing to do to stay young forever? Once there was a beautiful Malaysian woman, but she was never quite satisfied with her appearance. So she decided to go to a shaman who told her that through black magic and rituals, she could be young and beautiful forever. He gave her a potion to drink and told her that she couldn't look in the mirror for 30 days. However, this woman was curious. Every time she touched her face, she could feel her wrinkles disappearing. Everyone she met told her that she looked great. So on the 29th day, her curiosity was too much. So she took a glimpse of herself in the mirror. The mirror instantly cracked, and so did her face. She turned into a horrible monster, all because of her curiosity. So she went back to the shaman, hoping that he could help her reverse this terrible mistake. But he said that she can only reverse her looks if she drank the blood of the young. And if she didn't do that, then she would have to live as a monster for the rest of her life. Legend says that she's still out there somewhere, roaming around looking for her next target, all so that she can be young and beautiful again. If a website ever asks you these questions, don't do what she did. Once there was a girl named Masha who heard that there's a new service that gives everyone free internet access, so she decided to use it, but this would lead to something horrifying for Masha and her family. After she connected to this internet service, a web page popped up asking her to register some information, but the questions were oddly personal. It asked, what's your usual mode of transportation, with a photo of a bus, a boat, a train, and a plane. Masha took her bike to school every day, so she clicked on the train instead. But the next day, the local news showed that there was a horrific train crash that killed everyone on board. Masha thought that this was a coincidence, but soon she'd realized that she made a deadly mistake. Later, she needed to use the internet again, so she logged back in. This time it asked, what kind of home do you live in? Along with 4 different pictures of different types of homes. She clicked apartment even though her and her family lived in a house. And the next day, the apartment building near her school burned down. The police suspected arson. Then she went back to the internet server one last time, but this time it showed a photo of her mother, father, sister, and herself with the question, who is your favorite family member? Have you ever eavesdropped on someone else's conversation? For one woman who is a psychiatrist, her eavesdropping on her neighbors would lead to something terrifying. So this woman moved into an apartment and noticed that there was a family of 3 living next to her. They were a married couple in their 60s and their son who was about 30. The son, however, barely left the house, and the psychiatrist would often hear the mother yelling and the couple arguing. Eventually, the son wouldn't leave the house for years, but one day everything changed. The father knocked on the psychiatrist's door looking devastated. He said his family needed her help, so she went with him to their apartment where their mother was waiting. Then the couple led her to their son's room, where the mother banged on the door and said, "We're coming in." The son was still in bed sleeping. Then the mother started yelling, "Are you going to sleep forever, you lazy good for nothing?" and grabbed a golf club and began beating the son sleeping beneath the covers. The psychiatrist was shocked and pulled the mother off of her son. But that was not nearly the most terrifying part. When the psychiatrist tried to check if the son was hurt, she pulled back the covers and saw a mummified corpse. Then the father said, "It's my wife who needs help. This has been going on for years and I can't take it anymore." Can you solve this mystery? This is a story about two young girls, Mandy and Melissa, who were identical twins, but one day they were kidnapped by an unknown man. No one knew who the kidnapper was, but something isn't adding up here. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So Mandy and Melissa were born to a very rich family. They lived in a large mansion with their father and older brother. Everyone was jealous of these girls because their father loved them so much and gave them everything that they wanted and all of his attention. But one tragic night, the girls were taken. When they woke up, they were blindfolded and tied to chairs so they couldn't see a thing. They were terrified. Suddenly, Mandy heard a high-pitched voice whispering in her ear. It was the kidnappers. He said, "I've contacted your parents and I'm demanding $1 million ransom. If you try to escape, I will kill Melissa." Then Melissa heard the same voice whisper in her ear. He said, "I contacted your parents and I'm demanding $1 million ransom. If you try to escape, I will kill Mandy." So who kidnapped the twin girls and why did they do it? Can you solve this mystery? What would you do if someone said this to you? Once there was a girl in Korea who got in an elevator in the apartment building that she was living in when a stranger came in and told her something that was absolutely terrifying. This stranger came into the elevator with her and tried to make some small talk. He looked at the elevator buttons and said, "Oh, I see that you live on the 14th floor. I live on the 13th floor." She gave him a friendly response and even tried to flirt a little bit. She thought that he was attractive and wondered if they would get to know each other better. But things quickly took a horrifying turn. When the elevator arrived at the 13th floor, the man got off and said, "See you soon." But as the doors closed, he pulled out a knife from his jacket and with a terrifying smile said, "Upstairs." Then he ran towards the stairs. By this time, it was too late. The elevator doors were already closed. She tried to push as many buttons as possible, but it was of no use. She was stuck inside the elevator, unable to do anything, as the elevator made its way up to the 14th floor.